Did major colleges recruit the junior colleges back in
Some
those days? Was
every
that kind of a thing,
yeah,
or
we did.
yeah?
On my radio show today, I had Gary Elliott, and Gary Elliott was a very good player for us from a junior college in Georgia. That we didn't have a great team, but he was very very good. And on November the 8th or 7th or 8th, they're naming the floor at North Alabama for Gary. And he went up, he went there and won the national championship in Division Two. And so, to answer your question, but like that, we recruited joint junior college kids if we thought we could get them. When a junior college kid came into your program, then he had to play. He couldn't come and sit. You transfer rule was not in effect, but when you recruited somebody that had already been playing for 2 years, you didn't touch anybody unless you knew they were good enough to come in and play and win for you.
How'd you get the job at Carbon Hill?
Well, I got the job at Carbon Hill at the last minute, or when I guess they always laughed said nobody would take it, but that wasn't true. The superintendent resigned at the end of whatever reason at the end of the year, and the principal at Carbon Hill got to be the superintendent. And when he did, the basketball coach became the principal, Hollis Thompson. And so they called me to see if or either I called them, I don't know which, probably I called them, and asked them if they had a job opening. I had a problem getting a job because I had not played football. And all of the head football coaches wanted somebody that knew something about football to be assistant. I couldn't be a very good assistant. So uh, they needed somebody because it was too late. And so I ended up going in, talking with them, and took the job. And they had a really good team with Cotton Clark. Cotton Clark was great, the year before that. And Brick Mason was coach. And Brick was a guy who had run a touchdown against Syracuse, I believe. My tested my memory when Red Drew's team beat them 61-6. Brick ran the touchdown. So
And he was the head coach,
yeah,
football coach.
so
Yeah.
I think I think they lost all the players. They didn't have any assistant coaching help by me, and I don't think we won a game. And so that was bad for Brick. And then when I got the basketball job, we had some really good players, and I I mashed them pretty hard for the first time to be a head coach, and so we got a lot out of them. We were 25-4, and we were able to beat Walker County 3 times, and that's like winning the state championship 3 times. You beat Walker when you're at Carbon Hill, and especially if you beat them for some reason in the county tournament. We won it in the county tournament at Walker, which is a big deal. So uh,
Your environment in Carbon Hill was pretty Spartan.
yeah,
Your accommodations were.
well, it's fine.
Tell us a little bit
We were
about that.
behind the house. We were behind the school and upstairs in an apartment in it, and Hollis was below us. He was in the basement, and it was right behind the school. So I didn't have any money, and I just had Jim, my youngest boy. In fact, Annette hadn't even moved down there yet, and so we didn't have any money at all. I believe they hired me for 3,400. I believe that's right. And so I go in. I've got orange crates to put my underwear in and my socks in. I got spheres under, and I got a. We went in. We got a big cable top that the wrap kept around. We took it,
Like a spool.
yeah,
Yeah.
and put it beside my bed. We had beside my chair to make it look decent.
What was that used for?
We just put stuff on it while I was
Kind of like a
watching
coffee
TV. Yeah,
table.
like an
Okay.
old TV.
Okay.
We had a $5 stove and $10 refrigerator. And the refrigerator, for those who are watching our show today, was one of these with a big round top on it. It was a big round top. So, as I've told you, it was my first child, and became my time to uh, give Jim the bottle. And so, and that woke me up, and I go in there, and I get the thing out to put the uh, bottle in there and put it on the gas stove, and I get over to have a seat, and I kind of doze off, waiting to take that bottle to Jim, and lo and behold, I was heating the ketchup bottle. Yeah, so I had to go and change the goddamn thing and give him a bottle. So it was a good place. So anyway, we got a good team. I'm coaching the baseball team. The baseball team is pretty good. I get a call from Coach Riley saying that there might be a change there. He might be the head basketball coach at Alabama because the head basketball coach was going to Memphis, Gene Bartow. And I think that's right. I think it's Gene. So he said to me, if I get this job, I could let you come down here and work on your master's and be just a graduate assistant. And he said, I don't know how much you pay, but he said, if it works. Well, I didn't hear from him for a while. I thought that ain't gonna work. So all of a sudden I get a call, and he said, I'm getting the job. And he said, drive down here and see it. And he said, so I drove down and saw it. Naturally, I'm interested in it. But he said, now it doesn't pay a lot. He said, $175 a month.
So it was less than you were making at Carbon Hill. Yeah. And you had known him because you played for Coach Riley. Yeah.
He said, but we'll get you a place in the barracks, which are right across, if you look at Coleman Coliseum to your left there, right across that way there. There's some barracks. And he said, you can eat in Paul Brown Hall. They put you on the list. And then we'll get in at a job at Pritchard Moore. So Pritchard Moore is a big insurance company there. So I decided I'd do it. And nobody in America would have done it had already had one kid. So I did it. And we got in there, and I went to school, got my and when I got in these barracks, hot. You talk about cotton picking hot. It was awful. I had, for whatever reason, I had a window air conditioner. The first thing I want to tell you was when we moved down there, when we moved down to Tuscaloosa, they were fixing the truck to load up, and the top of that refrigerator rolled off in the woods. It's still down there. We never found it. So anyway, it was a mess trying to get down there.
Did you have the coal truck move you to Carbon Hill or to Tuscaloosa?
Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
The coal truck got lost. They weren't there. Of course, it wouldn't if they lost it all. When lost it, they had orange crates and my underwear. The coal truck
didn't have anything.
No, the guy didn't know where I'd come to it. And he finally came there. Well, anyway, that air conditioner was old. I remember that now. I bought air conditioner. I'm smothered. Jim, my oldest boy now, is back there in the back asleep. I mean, little bitty kid. So I can't. When I was growing up, my daddy died when I was 6, so I didn't have any way. I couldn't turn on the lights, much less do something. I didn't have no idea. But so I got this thing, and I got somebody to help me put it in the window. We started trying to wire it up. We wired that booger bear up, boy. We were so happy. Lo and behold, we had wired it up for 220, and it only held a 110. We couldn't use it. It wouldn't go. We already put out all that time, and it's a 220, and it wouldn't work. So I ain't got much money, but I ended up putting in the paper or something to sell it, and I sold it. Finally got me an air conditioner where I had them come in and plug it up, not Wimp, and so they plugged it up. But those are the kinds of things that happened, and that worked at Pritchard Moore. And I coached, and it was fine. It was good. And then instead of staying, I came. The funny part about it, as I say now in my book, I came to stay 1 year and stayed 32. So it turned out quite different.
Did they immediately put you on the recruiting trail?
Well, yeah, I was recruiting some for them, but we had another guy that recruited some. I recruited all for CM and some for Coach Riley, and we were taking in-state kids. T.R. Dunn, I recruited T.R. Dunn. I got T.R. Dunn, a coach from from West End had gone to New York and ran into Dean Smith and told him about TR. And lo and behold, they come down there. And TR decides to go I think he went to visit. And I was recruiting him, every day, hard and heavy. I thought he was really going to be good, and he was. And so, what it's not funny, but it's unique of me. I find out that they're there to really try to close the deal, and I thought I was there to sign him. And so they're in the driveway talking to him, and I park outside and wait till they get through. And Roy may have come out rather than Dean, but one of them came out and left. But I'm thinking I'm going to get him. So I come in and we talk, and I'm ready to sign. Guess what? I ain't got no cotton picket pen. I ain't got no pen. I can't sign him. We got to go next door to find a pen.
To the neighbor's house. Yeah. And this is 74. Is that right? Okay.
You
Yeah.
know the years out
Yeah.
better than I do.
Yeah.
That's a funny story. And I said, T, I ain't got a pen. How I was gonna sign the guy without a pen? But I was nervous, I guess, and it was 74, and we got him, but we got a lot of that was a big deal then. After that, when Gene Bartow came to UAB, it became a recruiter's nightmare.
Yeah.
He had the name. Sonny was entrenched at Auburn, and I got the job, and it was a bitter battle. That's where I really got my lumps to help me, and they did. Frank was one of them. He helped me a lot.
Frank Nix.
He got
Yeah.
a great deal. So we got Reginald King, people like that, great players, and it was. And when I got, when I recruited to see him, I got, I did the recruiting, and we got good players, and it was not easy because UAB had come on, and then there became a stink. The stink was that Coach Bryant said, "We're not going to play UAB in anything." And the reason he said that was he didn't want to make them as good as we were because he didn't want to lose any football.
So he didn't really want to play them.
No, he didn't want to play. And so did me. I didn't care. They were good. We were too. And so we got a pretty big stink going about why we wouldn't play. And I probably added to it. We weren't going to play them. Coach Bryant said not to. We weren't playing them. And so we didn't. Nobody played. They were very good. We were too. And so we went into a recruiting battle, and without being egotistical or bragging, we got most of the players.
Mm.
We lost one to Louisville, and after he'd been there a year, he called me and wanted to come back. But we got the ones that we went after, the Enos Watleys, the Buck Johnsons, people like that, the ones that people talked about. We did a pretty good job.
But your relationship with Bartow was a little bit strained.
Oh, sure it was.
Yeah.
It was strange as it could be, and it was strange as it could be. And we had run-ins about what he said versus what I said in the recruiting's house, and those kinds of things. And yeah, but when he was sick, I went to see him, and I've got a letter in there that he wrote me too. I went to see him while he was sick, and we talked some about the recruiting part of it. What had happened was the UAB basketball coach had left, and the UAB administration had called to see if Bartow was interested. He was at UCLA,
Mm-hmm.
and Bartow said, "Would you be interested in me?" And they said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." So what happened back there, I think, is correct. And if Gene's son hears it, he can correct me. The camps out at UCLA, he kept them. John Wooden kept the camps. Well, back then, that was the only way to make money, was camps. You didn't have any stuff like you have now, but you made money off your camps. And if you lose your camps, you lose your money. And so he had kept them in his name. And we were very good too, but didn't have a big name. I did. And there were a lot of people that didn't want me to have a job, basically because I had not been a college coach, just a freshman coach. But I just kind of went in, and made it tough on everybody. I mean, I worked my guys pretty hard. The funny thing about it, it's kind of like life. I worked their fannies off, and Hollywood Robinson, who was only shot when he had the ball, was playing for me, and so was Robert Ory, and the stories are told about me suspending Robert Ory, but I was tough as nails on them, and they hated me. They just couldn't stand it. They played their fannies off, and I got a note the other day, uh, and so when Hollywood left, he came back. He came back and told me that boy, I made him play defense. We made him go through defensive drills. He said it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I played a lot more and got pros. So I got a couple of notes from my wife passed away not long ago, and both of them in the sentence was, "Coach, I love you." I said, "God I wanted to show this to everybody." But I kind of changed things. Not that I did anything, but when you follow success, most of the time you don't make it. And I followed success. I was part of that success because I recruited players. But when you follow success that way that was, and CM had a personality that everybody liked. I had Sunday says I didn't have one, and so I just went in did it a different way.
But you felt like you and Bartow kind of patched things up at the end.
Yeah, we did. The alumni still wanted to stir it up.
Yeah.
And probably didn't play and so forth. And then after I left, Alabama did play UAB in a game. I think it was Tuscaloosa, and UAB beat them, I think. But it was okay. We patched things up. It was just actually probably pretty good for basketball because there was a lot of talk about it, and the writers loved it because they were, I said this. Sonny and I started writing articles. I've got some down there. You'd love to look at them. And they called us and asked us if we would each write. Bartow and myself and Sonny would write stories, and so we wrote stories. It was okay.
You and I have talked a lot about Charles Cleveland in the past, and there's a story about you going down to the Twix and Tween and trying to sign him. But I mean, that was a tough recruit. That was a tough get for you.
We were on the edge of recruiting.
Yeah.
When we were able to recruit, Charles Cleveland was a really good football, basketball athlete, very good, and very, very gifted as a player. In fact, he was so good in football that Coach Bryant, after wanted told Dallas to come watch him punt. Well, he didn't punt well enough. So we went in after Charles Cleveland. A lot of people after him. Finally got him in a position to sign, and needed to sign him somewhere other than where he lived. And so I asked Twix and Tween if we could sign him. They said we could not sign him there. And so I can't recall, but I think I went back and I said, could we sign him in the back room back there? And they said yes. And we got him to sign back there, and he was a great player for us. He passed away now. I went to his service, but he was a great player for us.
Why don't you think he made it in the pros?
I don't know.
Was he that good? I mean, was he good enough to play in the pros?
I can't remember.
He was drafted by the 76ers.
Okay, I don't recall as to why he didn't.
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
Yeah.
But he was good, and they had another kid named Leroy Russell who was on what we signed from there. But there were a lot of people coming in there to get him, just like there were people coming in to sign Leon Douglas. I was assistant coach when we got Leon Douglas, but we had to fight to get Leon Douglas because they had a conference letter and they had a national letter. He had signed the conference letter, only had a 10-team league. That kept 9 teams from getting him, but hadn't signed the national letter. George Raveling just passed away the other day, and George Raveling would come down and shoot pool with him. And I said he would take his mother fishing, and so we ended up getting him, and we got a lot of players. Bug Johnson was the guy that we had to fight to get. We were in a squabble there trying to get him. It was a big mess, and it was in the papers and all. I'm at home one Saturday afternoon, the phone rings. It's Leroy McClendon, my assistant. He said, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, "I just got a commitment from Buck Johnson." I said, "Really?" He said, but he wants one thing. I thought, oh me, what does he want? He doesn't want to announce it right now. He doesn't want it announced. I said, okay, tell him I want to announce it. I'll go make sure how home. So we so what happened was he recruited Bug Johnson, and his grandmother was there. His grandmother stayed in a chair there, and she never said anything. The grandmother told him to go with us. I think that's true. Buck sees this, he'll correct me, I'm sure. And so that was the reason that we got him. And so I went to Sam Bailey, and I said, Sam, we can sign Buck. I mean, this is a big deal back then. Nothing now, but I said we can sign Buck Johnson, but he don't want to sign for 3 weeks. I said he doesn't want it announced, and he said, well, let me call the conference office. So they called the conference office, and I think the conference office said that he could not announce it for 3 weeks, and so we didn't announce it. And finally, Herb Winches got a hold of it, and he called me and I said, well, I don't know, I'm not sure. We think we're gonna get him, that kind of stuff.
I want to go back to the early 70s, and I want to get this right because y'all had a stretch from 72 to about 76 or 77 where you're 22-8, 22-4, 22-5, and then 23-5. And this is going back to that Leon Douglas, T.R. Dunn, Charles Cleveland, Ray Odoms era. And in my mind, this is really where the tradition at Alabama, in the modern era, where y'all really started to develop that tradition. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. The problem that people don't understand, and when I say all this stuff, I'm not. You got to get them, and because the other guys that are recruiting against you are going in there and telling you why you shouldn't go. Number one, you shouldn't go because football is too big and you'll never know who you are. So I cleaned that up. I went to Coach Bryan. I said, Coach, the 2 or 3 guys I want you to sign. I mean, to call, just call, and I did that a couple of times, and just tell them hello for us. I said they're using football against us, and that helped It helped some because guess what? Coach Bryant called me, and then I got on kids early. If I could get them a job, who's a great running back in Miami? Played basketball at Woodlawn.
Tony Nathan.
I thought Tony Nathan was going to be a basketball player, and he turned out to be football. But he was playing at Woodlawn, and so we did a lot of early recruiting, but we had to work at it. UAB had gotten good, and so we got it done pretty much.
Well, then you had to at one point you had to deal with Gomer Powell kind of getting in the mix.
Yeah, let me think.
Was that Bobby Lee Hurt?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Bobby Lee Hurt. I'm recruiting Bobby Lee Hurt and Enos Watley, and I'm assistant coach. I go up to Huntsville. It's Friday. We're recruiting for 2 years. I mean, this is a Friday, and I'm still up there after going up there on a Wednesday and spend the night trying to do something. Jerry Rice calls us in, and Hawaii is there too.
Now tell everybody who Jerry Rice is.
Jerry Rice is assistant.
Okay.
And so two of the head coach, one of the assistant coaches. Oh, I had Bobby Lee in a day before that into a CPA's office to talk to him about coming to Alabama. And we talked for always that 3 hours. I never will get this part of it. We got up, went out in the hall. He leaned against the wall, and I started talking to him about Alabama. He said, I'm still going to Hawaii. Well, come to find out, Gomer Powell had offered him $8 an hour to cut sugarcane. And he liked money in cutting sugarcane. He didn't know about sugarcane, but he knew about $8 an hour. And so I'm thinking to myself, whew, what are we going to do? I'm still going to. So Jerry Rice calls us back there. And so he calls the Hawaii. He calls the Hawaiian coaches some way or another. They're either in San Francisco or LA going back to Hawaii and gets them to come back. Well, crap, I'm in bad trouble. I mean, they're coming back to Huntsville. He's getting $8 an hour from Gomer Powell getting sugar cane. So I go to Coach Bryant. I said, Coach, Gomer Powell doesn't realize that we're recruiting this boy named Bobby Lee Hurt, and he's giving him $8 an hour. We're gonna lose him.
And Gomer went to Alabama.
Yeah, Gomer went out. He didn't even know hardly knew he was recruiting him. He didn't know he was recruiting. I said, if you don't mind, would you call Gomer? Tell Gomer to get off of him. And so we'd been at that one time playing, been to Gomer's house. I mean, but Gomer didn't know he was recruiting him. So he calls Gomer. Guess what? Gomer's on a ship in Australia and can't get him. And I'm saying, well, send some kind of signal out there. If you can't, he ain't got no cell phone, crap like that. So send some kind of wire, do something, and tell him that we're recruiting Bobby Lee and to get off of him. So anyway, they come back in there they come all the way back to Huntsville. They didn't think they're gonna get him. Jerry Rice calls us back there to his room, to his office at the end of Friday. He said Monday morning Bobby Lee Hurt is going to come in and announce where he's going to school. I'm tired of this. This has gone on long too far. There's a lot of other stuff that happened, I can tell you, but it's gone way too far. We got to get this over with. Monday morning he's going to come. Does everybody understand that? I don't want anybody contacting his mother or anybody. So let him come in and make his announcement. So the two of them leave and I leave. I get right in the car and go to his house. They said, you went to, I said, yeah, I had my finger. That's when I said yes, I had my fingers crossed. And my mother told me if I had my fingers crossed, it didn't count. And behind my back. You went to his house after that meeting? I said, yeah, I went to his house. Well, two Hawaii coaches, I know them, but I can't think of that. They went to a motel. And one of them said to the other, I wonder where that dang Wimp is. They get in the car and come out and catch me. I'm in a state car, so they know it's me. Well, they're calling to turn me in, I guess, or whatever they're going to do. I can't turn me into Jerry and turn me. And so we ended up getting him. Bobby Lee's a great guy. He was a terrific person. And he didn't have great hands, but he was wonderful. He still is. He's wonderful. And so we finally came in and we got him, but it's not because of that. But that $8, the sugar cane was big.
And sometimes you had to deal with Gomer on the recruit. I mean, that's the thing.
I was afraid to
It wasn't just Kentucky and North Carolina. It was Gomer.
Well, Gomer didn't know, but Gomer was fine, and we got him. He didn't care we got him, but we couldn't get through to Gomer because unlucky Coach Bryant couldn't get through to him. So I was while I tell this story, I mean, a lot of hard work went into this. I mean, you got to stay with Bobby Lee and hang with him, be sure he's.
And there were no recruiting restrictions back then. I mean, you could camp out at somebody's house.
At one time, you couldn't see him but 3 times. You could go in 3 times and see him. I can't remember when the years have. But anyway, when I was recruiting him, I recruited him so long. When I started out, I was assistant. When I recruited him and got him, I was the head coach. Alumni. I was recruiting Rah Scott. He's passed away now and he worked for Mark Godfrey. And I worked so hard on him. I was worrying him to death, and I couldn't get him signed. He says he's going to sign, but he won't. Those kind, you lose those kind.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't sign. He wouldn't sign. And I was with him every step of the way, and everybody was laughing because every time I go to see him, he wouldn't sign. The principal is a good friend of mine. He's a poker player, and he's he'd do anything I need. I'd worn out him looking at me. So he goes to pitch. He's going to pitch in a game. I decide that I'm going to get down there and get behind the umpire, and get behind the umpire in a little gated thing. So every time he looked down to pitch, that he saw the catcher, he saw the umpire, and he saw me. when he got through with that playing that game, I think that's about the time he said, "Look, okay, I'll sign." God, big things. So he signed. We had a lot of recruiting experiences in the state, trying to be sure to get them because football, because people came in and tried to use it against us, in which Coach Bryant, we had to get him help us some, and we got him to help us some, and we got them convinced that we were going to have a good team, and Seaman and them had a very good team.
Okay, speaking of Coach Bryant, people that didn't know him, obviously they've built this character in their head, and obviously he had an aura about him. But you knew him personally. What was he like?
It was great. He was the kind of person that you didn't really get to know real close. He'd speak to you going down the hall. He was a good friend of the baseball coaches. Happy Campbell, I guess, right, baseball coach. He would go down and drink coffee together. Um, but he was fine. He uh he was a couple of things really funny that happened. And he was the first time when I was going to get the job and have a press conference.
In 1980?
Yeah,
Okay.
at a press conference, and he wasn't there. And so a few days after that, I felt like that I needed to go by and thank him. And so, everybody goes in his office, they got an air about it, they're nervous and all that kind of stuff. And so I knocked on the door and he got up, he had his glasses down on his nose, came towards me, and I said, "Coach, I didn't, I just wanted to stop and thank you I know you're out of town. Thank you for giving me a chance to be the basketball coach. I appreciate it," so forth. He said, "I didn't have a damn thing to do with it, but I damn sure could have stopped it." That's all he said. And I thought it was interesting. He had a lot to do with it. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm out in the hall getting a drink of water. We're going to play UCLA, the number one team in the country. And we had been out there and we had beaten Georgetown with Patrick Ewing, and we had beaten Southern Cal 2 weeks prior to that. And we were good. And UCLA was good. Not Mark Farmer, but Farmer was the coach, Larry Farmer. So through the double doors walks Coach Bryant. Instead of turning to the left and going down the elevator, he starts coming towards me. And he comes around and he goes in my office and sits down on the couch. First time ever he'd been in my office, I always went to his. So I got a chair, and I can't remember what was said, and pulled up beside him. We talked. He talked about how he mishandled Snake Stabler for some reason. I can't remember what he said about the pass that Georgia made when Vince Dew and them beat him on a pass in football. Just different things. And he got up and left. And he went to see, I can't tell the story exactly right. He was with the guy that has all the meat there. I can't even think of it. But he's visiting some people on Monday night. He's not feeling well. He goes in the hospital. I'm not sure which day he passed away, Tuesday or Wednesday. But I could tell something was wrong with him. And we're practicing. I think Tommy Ford went with us on that trip. He could probably tell you more than me. But we're practicing. Secretary comes down there and she says, they're fixing to announce that Coach Bryant has passed away. I said, wow. So I called my team together and told them. I didn't say anything, but I'm thinking to myself, we're leaving tomorrow, the next day for LA. So when practice was over with, uh, I went and found Paul Jr. Called him. And interesting thought that he gave me. I said, "Paul," I said, "sorry about your dad. We thought of it, so forth and so on." I said, we're playing UCLA, number one team in the country, on Saturday night. It's a big deal. I said, "I don't want to do anything to be disrespectful." And he said, "Papa would have wanted you to play." So that was a great sentence that he gave me right there. And so we went out. We won the game. Not in the football coach Donahue led a prayer for Coach Bryant, and we won the game out there, which was a big deal. And so that's what happened there. But Coach Bryant was fine to me. To answer your question, he was very nice. I went out after he passed away. It's funny, Mrs. Bryant, she was cute. I would go out to see her, and I would go out to see her, and she gave me few of his shoes, and his clothes were too big. She wanted anyway. She'd say, when Paul sat there, y'all were playing bad, but when he moved over there, y'all, she would tell me exactly what he did each game. And I got a letter. I just saw it the other day, a handwritten letter she wrote me, because we went to Japan and played the game. And I wrote back a gift, and she wrote me this handwritten letter. And she would come to some of the games. She didn't come to a lot of them, but some. And she enjoyed it, and she kept up with basketball, and she bragged on us, which we liked. And Coach Bryant came to the games. He'd sit at the very top. He would never come down there. So they all said Coach Bryant doesn't like basketball. Hope they, it wasn't that way. He didn't want to fool people. He didn't want to sign no autographs. And when if he came to a game, he sat at the very top. Now, we played at LSU one time, and he sat on the bench.
What about Manhattan? Didn't he come to Madison Square Garden at the time?
Yeah. NIT. He came there, and he got one of those hats from Sonny Webbleton.
Yeah.
And I got one myself. I got one for Ray Perkins.
Yeah.
And I gave Ray Perkins one. I think I'd gotten a couple of them. So he came to those games, and it was a big deal, because back then NIT, everybody came to one place. Everybody was in New York. We got beat by North Carolina in the semifinals, I think it was. We didn't get to the finals.
But that wasn't an embarrassment to go to the NIT. That was kind of a big deal, wasn't it?
Sure.
Yeah.
It made a big deal, bigger, so maybe even bigger than now, because you all met at the same place.
Yeah.
It was in New York City. You got a lot of press. You're an Alabama basketball team that known for football, and it was a big deal.
Yeah. But you were friends with all the football coaches at Alabama. I mean, there were only four while you were there, but Bryant, Perkins, Curry, and Stallings.
I was close to Pat Dye, not close, but knew Pat Dye real well. He was 8 years, and that my wife sold him his first house. I used to kid him and tell him, "Boy, you made a fortune. We made a fortune off of you." I said, "We made all kind of money off selling you that house." But Pat was there, and Phil Cutchins, Jerry Claiborne, coaches like that. Went to different. Jerry Claiborne went up Kentucky. Phil Cutchins was out in the West. Howard Snellenberger. I used to play canasta with Howard Snellenberger and his wife. And I look at all those head coaches, and went everywhere, and there I was with just about a bunch of them I can't even name. I made a list of them one time. I should have had it for you, but I don't. All the ones that came there from Pat Dye to a lot of Steve Sloan.
Coach Curry said that he got one of your sport coats one time. Yeah. How did he acquire that?
Curry was great. Bill Curry, I either gave him one or something. Bill Curry, most of the time, if your basketball program is going good, I had one athletic director who didn't like it because he thought I was hurting football. But if your basketball coach is good, most of the time, football coaches don't particularly care for that, because they need the attention on them, and vice versa. And we were playing good. And the plaid sport coat thing came in totally by accident. One day I had gotten a plaid sport coat, and I decided I'd wear it, and I wore it, and they wrote about it. And then I wore either that one again, or I got another, and they wrote about it again. I think to myself, they're writing about that. There may be some interest in it. Hurts. I need the interest to be in the team, not me, but I was kind of interested when I was kind of wild on the bench. They liked that, and now I look back at it, they like me being mad on the bench all the time. I was mad from the time we played till we got through. So I started wearing plaid sport coats, and I was going to see a prospect in Georgia, and I called him and talked to his mother, and she said, "Are you gonna wear one of those coats?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, if you want me to." And then I went down to Florida. I was recruiting a kid who was really good. and I had one of my own, and the little sister was there, and the mother and the boy, and the little sister whispered to the mother, and the mother said, "That's one of those coats." And Wilson just said, "Can I touch it?" I said, so I knew then. I knew then. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And so I started wearing them, and I had them made everywhere, all over the country. They Birmingham.
So they were custom.
Yeah, they were
Custom.
somewhere, but they were okay, and so they kind of, some people liked it. Some, some thought you were bragging or whatever. They thought you were trying to show out. That's the reason today when I go, I don't wear them. People think I'm trying to bring it back, so I don't. I'm careful about what I wear when I go there. I don't wear any plaid sport coat.
Some people they're like, they don't care about what the coach is wearing at all, and then others think it's a big deal. I kind of err on the side of I think it's kind of a big deal because maybe I grew up in that era where coaches cared about what they.
Yeah, I think they wore coats and ties. I did too. I unbuttoned my coat on my tie, but they all wear it. But they went now they've gone to tennis shoes and warm ups.
What do you think about that?
I don't like particularly, but I'm not doing it necessarily. They're more comfortable. Everything in the world's changed from recruiting and so forth, and we were fortunate. I was fortunate in that for Steve and I both. We got some guys from Kentucky when he got the job because he knew some of them. But as the latter part of his career and all of my career, I was fortunate enough that there were players in the state of Alabama. I needed to get them, and we got them. But we had to work at it. Our alumni helped us a great deal by seeing them and talking to them and going to games. And Enemo was one of the first ones to look left and throw right. He was, and one kid that went Southwest Louisiana, I can't recall his name. He was a great player. We lost him, but most of them we were able to get.
I want to talk about two games that y'all had. One in '76, you play Indiana, that goes on to be an undefeated team. Bobby Knight's first national championship, I think. 32-0 Indiana team, and then you face North Carolina in the 82-83 season in the tournament with Worthy and Jordan, Dean Smith's first national championship. Tell us about those two games. Were both of those teams as good as advertised?
Yeah, I think they were.
I mean, because you could have beaten both of them. You're right there.
A couple of bad shots at the end of the game. We played it right down to the wire.
Yeah.
There was a play in the game where we had a block charge. I guess that was the Indiana game where Leon got a foul and Benson didn't. That we thought. I think you were what
Kurt Benson.
Yeah. I think what I didn't like. I hope I'm telling this right. There were Big Ten officials that called that game. I didn't like that at all, and we got beaten a close one. I can't really remember exactly why we got beat particularly. Bobby and I are friends. Some Bobby's like and dislike, just like everybody is. And he came in there and said we were the best team that he played. It was easy for him to say that. We couldn't have found him.
He said that after the game.
Yeah, we couldn't have found him if we'd beat. He just said that. We couldn't have found him with a finding machine. You couldn't find him. So, but he won. He beat us, and so he just said we the best team. So that goes over good. Everybody's all happy we the best team. They have played. So that's fine. So Bobby and I are friends. We're friends. Bobby spent the night with me in Little Rock one time. We came to Tuscaloosa, and he went fishing one time. So anyway, that's what happened.
What about North Carolina?
Say this in the right way.
Yeah.
We got a royal screwing in North Carolina. The official would never. First of all, we played them at North Carolina State. Dean Smith wanted to be sure that he set where North Carolina State set doing their games. Because I didn't care. It to me. I'd be gone by North Carolina State and seen what's the name? Who's the coach there?
Valvano. Yeah.
We had a great team. We had a poorly officiated game. I can't call his name. He's passed away now. But there ain't no doubt in my mind. There ain't no doubt in my mind it was a poorly officiated game because we were a football school and they were a basketball school. I believe that with all my heart. We held Michael Jordan to 13. That's pretty darn good. Enemo says that he kidded him all the time when he would get over the pros about how us defending him. He didn't like all that. But we held him to 13. We got beat 5, I think it was. I had a plaid sport coat on, and I threw it in the garbage can in the dressing room. Threw it. One other story that's probably interesting is Loyola Marymount.
Yeah.
Loyola Marymount was scoring. They were scoring unreal. And we had to, unfortunately, our athletic director didn't like it, but our pick, it chose us to go to West for play.
In the West region. Yeah.
First game was against Lou Olson in Arizona, and they were good. They, for some reason, weren't quite ready to play us. We were very good. We got ourselves ready. We were ready to play. They kind of fiddle-dicked around, getting ready, it looked like, and took us for granted. We beat them. We knocked them naked. We beat them good. We played, I think Colorado State, maybe the first game, and then Arizona. I can't remember. I think it was, whichever one. Colorado State and Arizona. We won both of them. Without any reason for us to go back home, we fixed to play again. We on the bus. We didn't bus out there, but we got a bus. So we going on to forget where we went to. And so I started calling people about Loyola Marymount. And I think I called Dean maybe, or called several people, and I said, "You think you can run with them? You can forget it. You can't. They're the best." We studied film like that. I decided that we would halfway hold the ball from play a little bit, not freeze the ball and not do anything stupid, but to cut the score down and to bother them. So, and we did. And if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't do it. Got to be 62-60. They had scored 133 against Michigan several nights before. I think it was 133. So it was 113, 133 or something. So he almost got a technical foul at halftime. Coach did. I know him. I can't call his name. And so
Paul Westhead.
And I don't know where Paul is now, but I got a lot of credit for coaching in that game, which was because of the way they had played versus what we got them to play.
But you're mad about the way you coached in that game.
Yeah. I wish we'd won the game. I probably should have played them.
Just played them straight up. Yeah.
Should have. I think anybody else would have played them, and I probably should have. We get beat 62-60. In the press conference, I explained to him I wasn't interested in holding them to 62 points. I was interested in beating.
But the press thought it was genius what you did. Yeah.
So rather than being fired over it, I got credit for it, and I shouldn't have because we got beat. And I thought coaches, Bob Boyd was out there, and he had beaten him, and he was a very good basketball coach. He's passed away now. We just played golf together. He was at
Mississippi State. Yeah.
I got Derry McKee. He was there, and he, I would say, halfway agreed about the strategy we were going to use. We were going without other stuff besides that, how we were going to defend them. We practiced one day. He came out and watched practice. So I felt good about him watching us practice and what we were trying to do defensively. I felt like we were ready to play them. But I thought we'd withhold the ball from play a little bit and see what happened. I can't remember the score at the halftime. saved my life, but it wasn't bad. I don't think we were ahead, but we weren't. But it was close, and so we lost the game. And in some quarters, I got a lot of criticism for it, but it was okay. But I did what I thought was best, and we got beat.
I interviewed Gary Waits a few months ago, and we were talking about UNLV. And when I was a kid, obviously UNLV had an incredible team, um, but Gary said something interesting. He said that UNLV wouldn't have wanted a piece of us.
Yeah.
What do you think about that statement?
Well, probably. We were good. Gary Waits was something. I was over in Atlanta. I believe this is right. Watching a bunch of teams play. And Greg Polinsky, my assistant, said, "You need to stay and watch this guard." I said, "Greg, I'm tired." I said, "I've been here all day long. I want to go back to Birmingham. I'm tired of it." He said, "Well, stay and watch this guy." I said, "Okay." So I stayed and watched him, and he was quicker than him. He was quicker than a hiccup. I mean, he could really play. Well, back then you couldn't talk to him. But I watched him, watched the team go. And I saw him go to a water fountain, and there were two water fountains. And so I went, he got this water fountain to drink some water. I got the water fountain next to him. I was sipping the water. I said, "Gary Coach Wimp Sanderson from Alabama." I said, "You played great." I said, "I loved it. I loved it." So that's the way I tried to recruit, started off recruiting, and it was funny as crap. And we ended up getting him. And
He was hurt when you recruited him, right? You kind of stuck with him a little bit.
He got
Yeah.
hurt, but he lost. He was a terrific player. And
Y'all had a good rivalry with Kentucky in the 80s. You beat Kentucky 11 times in the 80s. Is Joe B. Hall one of those coaches that really doesn't get enough credit?
probably. I was with Joe B. We were playing in Atlanta. No, we were playing Denver. We played. They always took our. We never got the seating that they get now. I won't get into that, but we ended up having to play North Carolina State in Denver. That was our region. And Joe Hall's team was playing, forget somebody. He says to me, "After the game tonight, I'm going to resign." I said, "What?" He said, "After the game, and this is a big deal, I'm going to resign from Kentucky." He said, "After the game tonight, I'm going to resign." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I've had enough of it. I'm not going to do this anymore." So after the game that night, I don't remember who, I guess they, maybe it's not, when North Carolina beat us, they beat us very little. He resigned. And he was a good guy. He's passed away now, and we got along well. I saw him some. I went with him Alabama. Saw him some in Japan. Went over to visit some. But when we got to back then, you played the conference tournament at different people's places. And boy, we were, without me bragging, we worked. We were good, boy. We got the final game 9 out of 12 years. We were really good anyway. We got to play them at Kentucky.
Yeah. That was the 82 game, maybe? Yeah.
I kind of did a little bit like I did like on Miramont. I didn't rush anything. And we played back and forth on them, in the 40s. In fact, the final score was 48-46. But they had the ball last. Most of the time when you went up there, you were going to play 8 of them. Those 3 officials weren't going to give you a break. They call it travel on them. We came back to our bench, and I told him what I said was going to do. Let's clear out the side. Emo was going to take it to the basket, and we were going to win this thing. And Emo takes it to the basket and misses it. They fouled him, but didn't call it. And Eddie Phillips, who I had a hard time coaching, he's a friend of mine now, but he had a hard time with me. And I had a hard time with him. Booker Bear put him back in. He put him back in. And they called timeout. So I'm trying to preach to my guys, and they ended up shooting a three, missing it, and we win. And our president comes out, the Big Al comes out. It was a big deal to go into Kentucky and beat them. We had won it at Nashville, we had won it Knoxville, we had won it Orlando. Never won it at home. Never won it in Birmingham. Got the fouls twice, got beat, but we never won it there. But we won it in a lot of different places and had good teams.
Not that this is your favorite subject, but we talked about the loss at Loyola Marymount.
Yeah.
And then you think about the Providence loss, you think about the Lamar loss, Illinois State, South Alabama. What's the one that's the most bitter pill that you had to swallow out of all those?
Maybe Providence, but the one where Rick and them beat us.
Yeah.
We didn't do a very good job of defending the three. They shot the lights out of it. They had some transfers from Indiana left Bobby. We didn't do a very good job. I thought we were ready to play. I wasn't sure. We were darn good. They shouldn't have been there.
That was bitter because you knew how good you were.
Yeah, and they were. Yeah, okay. They shouldn't even have been there. They were playing Austin Peay, and the guy had 2 free throws to make one of them, and they win the game. They don't even get there. The game's over. He misses them. They end up going overtime, and they win. And so we played them, and we got beat pretty soundly. It was a big disappointment. I would say, I don't know, all the games you mentioned that we lost, South Alabama was a bitter pill to swallow. Well, certainly, I thought it was a terrible officiating game. And they always say I say that, but I thought it was terrible. I thought it was absolutely awful.
By the way, referees can affect a basketball game, can affect a game in basketball more than any other sport.
Yeah. Well,
is that a fair statement?
Sure. I tried to be friends with them, and I did, and I joked with them some, and kidded with them, and they had this. CM got them put in this box where you couldn't get out of the box, and so they would watch to see if I got out of the box. And what's his name? One of the official would tell me they meet and said, "Wimp gets out of that box, they're gonna call technical." And they go the other end. My feet would be on the edge of the box, but I wouldn't be out of it. But they would nail me sometimes for getting out of the box. You couldn't get out of the box. And
well, let's flip that. What was your best win at Alabama? Or biggest win at Alabama?
I don't know. Maybe publicity wise, it was UCLA. Maybe publicity, but we watched Coach Bryant's funeral from there in the hotel room. And Vital and all of them called the game. Nobody expected us to win. I don't know. I don't know. Just all of them. I don't know.
Which one do you think?
Auburn was such a big game for us, and I made it as big as I could make it. And Charles Barkley was a good coach. We were fortunate enough to Charles to pretty much do what we wanted to do. I won't get into the scores, but anytime we played Auburn, it was a big deal for us.
Is that what you think about when you're kind of reminiscing on your career? You think about Auburn? I mean,
we did a good job against them, and we got beat. We got beat in the finals of the tournament one time with them. But we had a great chance to win it, but it didn't. And I don't know. I look at our abilities to win some games that weren't supposed to. Tennessee was really good. Ray Mears was a great coach. And I got a nice letter from him when I got the job. And I really appreciate it because he was a guy that did a lot of things in basketball prior to the game and had played his own defense and was good. So we're a team with good talent that basically played hard. There's sometimes we didn't play as hard as we should. But we played hard, and think Bubba, what's his name, is going to Texas A&M now. He used to come watch his dad used to bring him to
Bucky McMillan. Yeah. When you think back, you think Alabama and Arkansas had this big basketball rivalry, but I mean, y'all really didn't play that many times. No. I mean, but it was a big game every time you played.
We played home and home all the time. We had an 18-game schedule. We played everybody twice. We had a 10-team league. So that means 9 teams is 18 games. So that was with 18-game schedule. You might end up 12-6. That sounds bad, but it wasn't too bad because it was hard to win on. But I had not only I thought I recruited them well, but I had good recruiters. Kevin Gray and Greg Polinsky both recruited very well for us, and we did a good job of sort of when you follow success the way that we did, it's a little bit more difficult to do. And we followed success. I hoped I was part of that, but when you follow success like we did, it's not as easy. The second time usually makes it, but we were able to keep it going fairly well, and it took a while for the fans to appreciate it, but I think they did.
What kind of relationship did you have with Nolan Richardson?
Well, kind of okay. He would. A lot of times I'd get they call me Coach Sanders. It was crap. I'm gonna call you Coach Richard. He was okay. He coached them okay. It was hard to play. They'd have three guys guarding the ball, and the other two guard the other four. I mean, you couldn't figure them out. I mean, they were everywhere and they were athletic as crap. I thought the greatest game in the history of SEC tournament was when we played Arkansas.
92 in the BJCC.
That was a great game.
Yeah,
a terrific game. We didn't beat him all the time, and he was good. We were too. And interesting now that Arkansas is in the league, so to speak, and they playing Kentucky. So it's things change, and people forget you, and they forget what happened with your team. You run into old players or old coaches, that'd be guys where now I'm living in Tuscaloosa, run up to and said, I remember when so and so. I said that means one thing, you're old. You remember what we did, but some do, a lot don't, a lot do. So anyway, it was good, and one thing that I did, I appreciated football. I thought football was important, and I did nothing at all but just coach our team. I certainly didn't want our basketball to overshadow football. It wasn't a thing. I went to as many football games as they let me go on trips, and so it was fine. You kind of knew where football stood. If you're not going in there fighting them, you're going in there to be with them, and so that's what I did. I couldn't have hadn't fought him anyway, because Bryant had everything going his way. Coach Bryant decided to come back home. He decided to leave Kentucky and go to A&M. Had a chance to come back home. He did, and he was good.
a lot of young people have no clue about the tradition of Alabama basketball. Does that kind of frustrate you a little bit?
Probably.
Yeah.
They don't realize it was good. They coached very well now, and have been coached okay off and on since I left. I think I was the 21st coach or something. They did some things. They put what I did, what CM did, and what Nate's doing now in Paul Bryant Museum, and I feel like they need to put Johnny D in there. Johnny D was one of the first best basketball coaches. They left Alabama with Notre Dame. I went by to see him one time after he left. He left Alabama, but he was a great coach. But nobody, time goes by, they just it's not like football's the same way. They don't remember as much. They remember football more because football's king, but in most people's minds. But it's
How hard is it to kind of get to that next level of the NCAA tournament? I know a lot of that has to do with your draw, but getting past that Sweet 16 level.
And I would say if you look at me, I'm the guy that didn't get us there. We got to the NCAA tournament 10 out of 12 years, and we got to the final 16 6 times. But after that, you can't brag. We didn't get by the final 16 game. We had a terrible tough times getting by the final. I didn't get by. And I got criticized for it a lot. And when you get there, everybody expects it, and they don't. They get after you get there about the third time, they expect it. They don't appreciate it, and so they quit the appreciation and went to the disgust of not getting by the final 16. I was too. And we worked as hard. We were ready to play, and we did everything we could do, and we lost. We went to a lot of different places, from Nebraska to California to a bit everywhere.
Well, from your standpoint, it wasn't for lack of trying. I
Yeah.
mean, you wanted to get to that next level. I mean,
We just didn't get there. But the next level for us, the first next level for us was to play in the NCAA tournament, and we did that. That was a big deal to get in the tournament on a consistent basis. And we got there, not the first year, and not one other year we didn't, but got there 10 times. And, we won 2 big games every time we got there. Not every time, but 6 out of the 10. I don't think we ever went, or we lost. We may have lost the first game once, but I can't recall. It's my memory on names is not as good as it should be.
what do you think about the job that Oates has done?
He's done terrific. He's got, I think, shooting a 3-point shot and talking about it a lot has made people want to. Everybody thinks they can shoot the 3, and I think he's been very, very good. He's hired a lot of good people to help him recruit, and I think the recruiting task has been good. They've done terrific.
What's your involvement in the program now?
Don't go by much. Now that I moved to Tuscaloosa, I'm gonna go by and watch them practice. I have not up till this thing. I've gone to games, some games, but I have 2 tickets, which is appreciative of it. But I don't really go over there watching practice. I'm very careful what I say on the radio and what I say here, being sure that, because I think he's done a good job.
Do you watch every game?
Yeah.
So you follow it. I mean,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I watch a lot of them doing a radio show, and I do that every morning from 7 to 9, and then I do a little show for jocks 2 days a week.
What does Alabama mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. It means greatness, not greatness, but goodness, and it's some disappointment. But the disappointment is what it is, and I go about my business and do what I can do. I know most of the story, but I just kind of go leave it alone.
You know, when you're an assistant, I read this in your book that you had interviewed at Southern Miss, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I mean, your career trajectory could have taken an entirely different path. So
I tried to get to know Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Southern Miss, and couldn't get that. And then when I was the head coach, I did go to South Carolina for a visit. See about that. I didn't have that. So it was okay. I just couldn't seem to get a job. It's hard to get one from Alabama as assistant basketball coach. So,
but you're glad that Providence kept you at Alabama.
yeah,
The good Lord.
I guess.
Yeah.
Providence did. That game was.
Who's the toughest team you had to play against from a defensive standpoint?
Oh, probably when I was assistant coach, Ray Mears
At Tennessee.
Yeah, it was hard to play against. He was very good. And Arkansas was so athletic and did so many different things that it was confusing to everybody, because as I said, they might be having 3 guys guard the ball and 2 guys guard the other 4.
They just ran at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very good. We didn't quite play that way. We played more standard defensively and tried to run with it, play, and we had great crowds. And of course, the more you win, and once they decide that you can get them to play, they come out. We had great crowds for most of our games.
Now, I want to talk about your personality for a second.
I'm not what you think I am. Let me say this to you, and people talk about how gruff and rough I am, how mean I am, what a bad look. I never smile. I had a preacher call me the other day, and he said, I lost my wife. He said, what do you want me to put on your tombstone? And I said, here's what I want you to put on there. what you see is not what you get. He said, that's really, he said, yeah, there's a lot to that. And I meant by that is when you see me, you end up saying, whew, he's hard to deal with. He's this, he's that. And I'm not. I'm not. My assistant coaches would go somewhere and they say, I bet Wimp's hard to work for. I wasn't hard to work for. If they worked, I wasn't hard to work for at all. But I have that. They have that. When people get to know me there because they say I'm funny. Sonny and I had that show. Wimp, Sonny and Wimp, Sonny and Wimp, Sonny. One thinks he's smart, the other thinks he's funny. Well, I told everybody I was both, and I don't know if I'm funny or not, but I do funny things sometimes, and I'm different. But I think what you see is not what you get in me. I've always believed that, but it's okay. It is, you form an opinion of a coach as to whether you like him or dislike him. For whatever reason, because I raised Kane on the bench, people kind of like that. I didn't know it when I was doing it. I was mad because I was doing the game.
But you project yourself as very gruff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way you project yourself out in public. And a lot of times when you and I are talking on the phone, that's the way you project yourself to me.
My son said, what you say what you think.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense sometimes because you're a soft person too.
Yeah.
You're a kind person.
I cry a lot.
Yeah.
I've struggled here for the last couple of months with losing that net, but I do. I was supposed to. There's a young man in Montgomery who going to have heart surgery, and he just passed away the other day. The reason I'm saying this, he called and told me. He said that doctors say that they can't operate on me for 2 weeks. He said, I don't think I'm going to make it. I said, well, who's your doctor? He tells me. I said, let me call him. I called him. I said, Doc, Tim's going to die. And they changed it. They operated on him. He lived it just the other day. I went down to see his wife because I couldn't stay for the funeral because I couldn't make it. I couldn't sit through the funeral. Couldn't sit through the singing. And I used to, y'all just ask me who I like to listen to sing. I like, Chris Christopherson, people like that. I don't listen to it much anymore. I'm so much different than what people think. It's unbelievable, but that is what it is.
But why do you feel like you project that?
I don't know. But I do. I think because they say I never smile. Well, I never know I don't smile. I don't go in the mirror and look. But the big thing about me is I think never smiling is a killer for me. If I could paint a smile on my face, I ain't no telling what would happen to me. But that's the one thing they say: never smiles. You're never happy. It's not true. I'm happy, sad, and happy like everybody else. But that's you meet somebody that's I bet you had a hard time interviewing Wimp. That kind of stuff. So.
But that's not the real you.
No, it's not. It's not the real me. But I don't try to. It is what it is. They're gonna think what they want to think, and that's where it goes.
And I know your faith is a big part of your life. I know that's important to you. Tell me about that. That's private too. I mean, so
Church Christ, and I try to go every time they open doors. And I don't bother people. I don't worry people, and I try to be. I'm living here in Tuscaloosa, about a mile from one son and the other two sons in Montgomery. I don't want them to pick up the phone and say, "Oh, it's Granddaddy calling again." So I'm very careful about that. I go down there some, they come up here some, but as far as being a worrisome guy, because I've got a grandson, one grandson who's a very, very good. He's a pitcher, left-handed pitcher, and he's got the ability to play in college somewhere. And we'll see what happens there. But I don't give a lot of granddaddy talk. As far hear granddaddy's talk, boy, I got a grandson does this and that. Somebody asked me about it. He's about 6'2" or 3 or 4. He's about 6'4", 2 something. He actually signed with Auburn, but hurt his elbow. It's not his pitching in Stanford right now, but he's very good. So but I don't really give a lot of talk about how good anybody is.
Mhm.
So I'm careful, but I don't know. Everybody has different personalities, and um, it's if you want to say who love the most, I wouldn't get a vote. Seeing we get all the votes. Okay.
What do you think is your legacy?
I don't know what they think. I don't know. I would hope that they would think that we kept it going very, very good, and that I had some responsibility for seeing him being good because it was my job to recruit, and I did it in a period of time when it was not easy to do. And a lot of stuff was done that he didn't even know because it was not cheating stuff, it was working stuff. But I like to think that not just the 12 years I had the job, but the 12 years for him too. And so um, I think I think we did well. But when I've been gone now 31 years from here. Uh, 31 years, crap. That's a lot of people don't remember anything. That's not necessary to remember. They got a good basketball coach. They've had some success since I left, and I, David Hobbs is a good friend of mine. He took my place, and so it's okay. It's all right. It's you have to work at it to get Alabama basketball where it is, and I think they're selling it out, making money, and doing great.
Mhm. I know that's been very difficult for you to lose your wife, and
Yeah.
if you had to tell people just a few things about her, about her life.
She went through a lot of toughness. She had a heart attack and almost lost her. She had a lot of sickness. She had cancer. She lost all of her hair. And this last time, she had two bad falls, and we got her. Lidocaine operated on her, and it was a 3.5 hour operation. She got through that, and then we got her through all the therapy that you can get her through at home and so forth. And she stood up one day with nobody in there and fell over and broke her left leg. And the lady that kept for her was somewhere else, and I wasn't here. And so then that made it more difficult for her to walk. So those two falls there, and her age got into her, those two falls, and not being able to do anything. And I knew didn't look good for things. I didn't know what to do. But we did everything we could do. I moved her a lot, tried to move myself in the bed and so forth, but she couldn't make it. But she was terrific. And three boys are great. They're good. They all coached. They all decided they wanted to coach, and they have and still are. Two of them are. Jim's retired, but they've coached and they've done well, and they've turned out well, and they've got families, and so it's been okay. It's to be quite honest, it's a different life for me now.
Right.
So,
yeah. But this is kind of a fresh start for you in Tuscaloosa, and
I tried to decide what to do. I was staying in Birmingham, come to Tuscaloosa, or go to Florence. I decided that I need more people in Tuscaloosa, and I'd be close to one of the boys, and at least all three of them I wouldn't be so far away. And so I chose Tuscaloosa, and I hope it's the right decision. It's good our house is out in Birmingham. So
I want to talk about Florence before we go.
Okay.
And two of the big moments, I guess moments in your life as a young child, playing hot tail, going to a Cleveland Indians game.
Okay, playing hot tail. Fitz Hill and Bob Hill. Their days was attorney. They were attorneys, but they had an old field behind them, and you would go over, and you'd maybe have 10 people play, and you play hot tail. And the hot tail, you had to play 21 and make it a long and a short. And the first one, 21, dropped out, and the last one did not. He had to go up to the goal, had to bend over and grab his knees or grab the ground, and we got to throw the ball at him, the hot tail. And I was so young that I shot grandma. I had to shoot grandma, trying to get 21. Of course, they wanted me to play because I was a booger bear. I was going to get the hot tail. And sometimes
You got the hot tail a lot of times.
hot tail, hot tail. And so I got the hot tail. Anyway, that's what happened. I passed there the other day. I was in Florida.
But they just throw the ball at you, right? Okay.
They could throw it, bust your fin down. You had them shorts. I mean,
you didn't have to pull your pants down, right? You just kept them up. Okay. Yeah. So but it still hurt.
It hurt like crazy. Yeah, you get 2 legs. But if you miss, I can't remember if you threw it hard and missed them. I think they got to throw one at you. But anyway, I don't remember that. It may not be right there. I got to liking the Cleveland Indians. And I had kinfolks too. Kinfolks that lived in Cleveland. And my mother, bless her heart, I kept on and on and on. I wanted to go see Cleveland Indians. I was 10 years old. She checked with the traveler's aid. The traveler's aid, if you took the train to Cincinnati, they would get you off the train and put you on the train to Cleveland. So she arranged with the traveler's aid to get me, and she said I would have a blue comb in my pocket, and I have $10 pinned to my underwear. She said, "Are you willing to go?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I want to go. I want to see Cleveland." I guess.
And this was like Feller and those guys. Yeah. Okay.
Got from Hartford, Illinois, or Hartford, Alabama. Bart Garcia, Wynn, Feller. I know them all. So off I went. They put me in a movie for about 3 hours. And then they came and got me. And the name of the train, I do remember that, was a Hummingbird. And so they put my little Fanny at 10 years old on the Hummingbird.
By yourself?
By myself. I think I cried, but I'm not sure whether I did not.
But people did this back then, right? I mean, like young kids would just go, you can't do that anymore. No.
Off we went on the Hummingbird. Little did I know, but the Hummingbird had a wreck. It had a cotton picking wreck. And we were delayed for 3 hours. And my kinfolks were there waiting for me. And somebody had told him there was a little blonde-headed kid running through there, couldn't find anybody with me because we were late. So I stayed there for 3 weeks. I was a little skinny kid, and I ate pan toast. The pan toast is where you put this toast in you just put this bread in a pan of butter, and you brown it, flip it. And I'd eat 7 pieces a day. I got fat. That's good for me. So anyway, I got to watch Bob Feller. I got to see Ted Williams. I got to see Joe DiMaggio. I got to see Larry Doby. I got Larry Doby on my radio show. He's passed away. But it was.
And you got Ted Williams' autograph too, or you think?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. Anyway, I never was really sure. I decided as a senior in high school I want to go back. And I got a buddy of mine named Robert Gibbons. And I said to Robert, his mother let me. My daddy had died when I was 6. My mother let me. Let's hitchhike to Cleveland. He said, "Okay, I'll hitchhike with you." So we go out, we get dropped off outside the school, and we start hitchhiking. We get a little ride to St. Joe. We hitchhiking all the way to Cleveland. You wouldn't do that for anything now. We hitchhike, we get one mistake, y'all. If you hitchhike, don't get off in the middle of the city. We hitchhiked, instead of getting off on this side of Louisville or the other side of Louisville, we got off in the middle of Louisville. We never got a cotton picking ride in the middle of Louisville. They stopped. They was going by us real fast, and there were no red lights, but you couldn't get there. We finally got a ride, and we got from Louisville to Cleveland, and we stayed. Robert and I stayed a long time. I don't know if Robert's passed away or not. I thought he had, but he may not have. So we got up there and we saw all of them play. They had a great team. That was 1955. I'd been there in 1947 or 47, I think, because I was 10 years old. I was born 37. So we wanted to hitchhike. So we hitchhiked up there and we watched the game. Now it's time to come home. they're gonna take us out on the highway. They ain't liking it much because they don't know, what's going on. So we're hitchhiking, and we thumbing, and for a little while. The guy pulls over, and he says, you can ride with me, but you got to drive. I said, yes, sir, I'll drive. So I drove the Booger Bear to, I drove him to the other side of Louisville that time. And that way he was going, I forget, he may have been going to St. Joe, Tennessee. St. Joe, Tennessee was hard to get out of. Wasn't much in St. Joe. And we got out there. And so that's my two stories.
All right. So now you've got some pretty colorful sayings. Let's just admit that. All right. So I want to go over some Wimpisms. And what I'd like for you to do is just comment after I give one of your quotes. Are you ready for this? Okay. When you were talking about Abilene, Texas, you said that it was a whole lot of wind, and the only thing to stop it was barbed wire fences.
When I got there, I had a football player. I had a football player come by who Abilene Christian was going to sign me, and they come right there and play. And I decided I'd go. And so he came out to see me. He came to Florence to see me, and I told him I was going to sign and go. So I went, and when I got out there, great day in the morning, the wind blew like mad. The only thing stopped was barbed wire fences. Barbed wire fences ain't going to stop it.
All right, second Wimpism is after the 1983 UCLA game. You were talking to Mark Farmer, and you said that he ought to be proud because both TV sets and Arab were on that night.
Yeah, well, I went and got Mark Farmer, and Mark Farmer's a great kid, and he had not started much, but they had a big guy, and I needed for him to start. And we finally got him. I finally got him from down there. Then we got him. He had played some for us. He's a big old kid that played hard and a great kid. And so I said, we're gonna start you, Mark, UCLA game. We started him, and I think we played. He and Bobby Lee Hurt together. I think we did, and or maybe alternated. I don't remember. But he started, and so. Arab, Alabama didn't have much. There wasn't much going on in Arab, Alabama. When I got in there and got him, I decided I wanted to take him, and did. And I used to kid him and say, "You're the only guy from Arab, Alabama to start against UCLA, no one team in the nation." I said, "Crap, Mark, I don't know where Arab, Alabama is." And he's every now and then I hear from him. He's been salesman over in South Carolina.
Yeah. All right, the third one is when they named the gym at Coffee after you, you said you were proud as a, quote, full-feathered peacock.
Yeah, I don't remember about saying that, but maybe I did. I don't know what a full-feathered peacock is. I guess I was proud. I didn't like him tearing the gym down. I didn't like him tearing the school down. The superintendent of education came in there. She was from somewhere, and she wanted to spend a bunch of money there. They let her spend it. She tore the school down. The people that have it there now, they like it. I won't even pass by and look at it. Our school is gorgeous, and I know it's the fifth grade, and I know everybody's happy. I ain't. I don't like it, so I don't look at it. But she went on to Athens. I hope she's not still there because they tear Athens down. So she raised the money and got the money raised, tore our school down, and left, which is terrible for me.
Well, listen, I appreciate you being gracious to me once again, and
I enjoyed y'all being here. I said some things that I hadn't said to people in a long time because they come to my mind, and I say them, but sometimes I forget things as well. I kind of know where I am in life.
yeah,
I don't particularly like it. I mean, the older you get, the more people look at you different when you get older. There goes that old coach in Alabama. What's his name? That's just kind of where life is. They just, you're not very smart. You look at things different. You're different than your kids are and your grandkids are. You just being old is some ways great that you got that old, but also being I tried to play golf and I don't have many people to play with. I don't want to play. I don't want to play with people where I can't play as well as they enough to play. And but I think being old is you're glad you got that. You're glad you're able to see everybody grow up and do things. You know that your time's coming, and mine is. Not probably before long, but but it's also, this is probably my last interview for probably, but this long, and but you know, you look back on things and wish things were different, or we had done things differently in some ways. That's the way life is.
Well, you've been very kind to this old Walker County boy, so I really do
Walker
appreciate it.
County means a lot to me. I went to Carbon Hill, gave me a job, and I didn't have one, and we were very, very lucky to have good players and got them to play hard, and I was happy there. And but anyway, I appreciate you. I appreciate been knowing y'all for a long time. Y'all do great with what you do, and podcasts are interesting, I think, and hopefully this one will go over good. A lot of stories there, a lot of things I've never told any of them. I've done a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see how it works. Hope it works good for you.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.